Hello, once again. Welcome to the security update, which we often look at issues concerning security in the continent from west to east. And these are the stories making the headlines. Somaliland responds to U.S. statement on Lasa Anod turmoil. Somaliland president reiterates his commitment to end Lasa Anod conflict through peaceful talks. Al-Shabaab sets fire to houses of civilians in Huldoyale, south of Mudug region. UN calls for nutrition aid in Nigeria, says impacts of conflict in northeast alarming. Welcome to the program. Somaliland government has released a response statement to the U.S. State Department statement on the Lasa Anod conflict, which urged the Somaliland government to pull back its troops as a demonstration of its commitment to a ceasefire. Somaliland government has released a response statement to the U.S. State Department statement on the Lasa Anod conflict, which urged the Somaliland government to pull back its troops as demonstration of its commitment to a ceasefire. A statement by the Somaliland Foreign Affairs Ministry recounted that it pulled back its security forces from Lasa Anod, declared it a unilateral ceasefire, and encouraged all other parts to join. But allegedly, the armed militia have rejected all these peaceful efforts. The statement reads that, like all other governments, the Republic of Somaliland has the right to defend its territorial integrity, and the armed forces have been doing so with restraint and professionalism. However, Somaliland said it shares the concerns of the international community regarding the continued violence in Lasa Anod, which was prompted by the assassination of a Somaliland politician in December last year. Somaliland repeatedly clarified that allied groups including Al-Shabaab, local militia and Puntland security forces have been flooded into Lasa Anod to escalate tension and to destabilize the region. Somaliland President Musa Bihi reaffirmed his statement that the government is ready to adhere to a ceasefire to end the volatile situation in Lasa Anod through peaceful talks. The President of Somaliland, Musa Bihi, has reiterated his government's wish to end the ongoing conflict in Lasa Anod peacefully through dialogue. If the other side makes a similar decision, he said, Bihi noted they can resolve the contention in many possible and peaceful ways, excluding armed conflict, declining that his army has ever plotted an attack against the allied forces and said they have been in a defensive stance since it started nearly 3 months ago.
anigu iyo dawladda iyo shacabka Somalilandba dhammaantood waxay ka midaysnaayeen ilaa imkana ay ka midaysan yihiin arrintaa in xabadda la joojiyo oo nabadda ku dhameeyo.
The president clarified if the localists in Lasa Anod advocate for reunification, they were supposed to address their will to the government, as they are anticipated talks between Somaliland and Somalia instead of taking arms and destroying the peace and stability of Lasa Anod city. Meanwhile, Bihi has endorsed the newly appointed special envoy of Somalia for Somaliland affairs, Daabjeerin Hussein Guled, and defined him as a figure who deeply understands Somali politics well. As the fighting between Somaliland security forces and armed militia continues in Lasa Anod for nearly 3 months, the opposing forces engaged in further conflict on Saturday, where casualties were reported.
A fighting between Somaliland security forces and armed militias continued in Lasa Anod for nearly 3 months. The opposing forces engaged in further conflict on Saturday, where casualties were reported. Somaliland security forces claim to have arrested dozens of prisoners of war that include Farah Mohammed Dalmar, who is a member of Somalia's Puntland state. Reports say Farah Dalmar resigned as member of parliament in January to join the armed conflict in Lasa Anod, even though it's yet unclear if the House accepted his resignation or not. In a previous video during the early days of the fighting, the MB noted the armed militia defeated Somaliland security forces with severe damage and held village forces the Somaliland government to pull back its troops from Lasa Anod.
At least 14 Al-Shabaab fighters were killed and over dozens of others wounded following clashes with Somali forces in southwest state. But we will be back after the short break.
Making documentaries is one of the most creative craft and challenging endeavors you can be involved in. It is an effective strategy to inform, persuade, educate, defend the perspective, and shed light on various issues, policies, and activities. At CBA TV, documentary production is our forte. We capture every TikTok detail of events in highest resolution to tell the story you care about, from politics to human hunger, research-based content, educative and informative. We also help you project your story in a dynamic perspective that attracts the world views of the target audience, as there is no better or more powerful way to place the organization's values and achievements than to make an excellent documentary film. No doubt, our strength lies in these ventures, and we pride in many award-winning documentaries which have been earning accolades across Africa and beyond. Let's tell your story.
Welcome back again. At least 14 Al-Shabaab fighters were killed and over a dozen others wounded following clashes with Somalia forces in southwest state.
At least 14 Al-Shabaab fighters were killed and over a dozen others wounded following clashes with Somalia forces in southwest state. According to military officials who spoke to the state-owned media, Somalia forces repelled an Al-Shabaab attack on their military base in Makunda village, about 70 kilometers south of Baydal town. The Al-Shabaab, however, said its fighters killed 12 soldiers in the latest attack, which happened on Saturday at midnight. The government forces have intensified their attacks against the Al-Shabaab since President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud declared an all-out war against the militants last year. The president has vowed that military operations to flush out Al-Shabaab fighters from their strongholds will be intensified to stop extortion of the Somali people and the spread of propaganda, intimidation, and extremism in Somalia.
The Al-Shabaab fighters have allegedly planned homes in Somalia's Huldoyale area in the south of Mudug region, with the aim of the group being to scare away the local community.
The Al-Shabaab members allegedly burned down numerous homes with the aim of the group being to scare away the local community in the Somalia's Huldoyale area in the South Mudug region on Sunday morning. The administration of Bahdo town in Galgaduud region and the police officers arrived in the area to see the damage caused by the group, stating that Al-Shabaab is targeting civilians because they are in a desperate situation and want to make the local surrender. That will never happen, saying that they will fight with them till they liberate the country. The administration of Bahda town has condemned the Al-Shabaab attacks on civilians, calling it heinous and cowardly attacks in which the Al-Shabaab fighters are targeting civilians, while they would not dare to face our brave soldiers and the locals who organized themselves to defend from the aggression of the Al-Shabaab.
The United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator in Nigeria, Matthias, says the impacts of continued conflict on vulnerable people, and in particular on children in northeast Nigeria, is alarming.
I am here with colleagues in the middle of a camp in Maiduguri city in Borno State. There are some 7,200 internally displaced people here. I've just come out of discussions with women and children who have dramatically described to me how they have not received any food support for at least 3 months now.
According to Matthias Shimau, the resident and humanitarian coordinator for the United Nations in Nigeria, many displaced people in the northeastern part of the West African country run the risk of turning to child labor, survivor sex, or begging because of severe malnutrition. In a statement released on Friday, Shimau claimed that after visiting Al-Miskin camp for internally displaced people in Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State, northeastern Nigeria, he was alarmed by the effect of conflict on vulnerable people, particularly children. The United Nations official noted that the people at the camp were among the 4.4 million individuals who would need emergency food assistance during the lean season from June to August. In Nigeria, acute malnutrition is predicted to double from its 690,000 child prevalence in 2022, according to Schemau. It criticized the high percentage of out-of-school children residing in the internally displaced person camp and called for increased support for the government effort to ensure that all children have access to education in order to secure a better future for them. He urged donors, businesses, and well-intentioned people to contribute more money and resources so that government and humanitarian organizations could deliver aid to save lives, enhance living conditions, and safeguard those in need. Kamil Sadiq, reporting for CBA TV, Nigeria.
And with that, the story of the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator in Nigeria, Matthews, says the impacts of continued conflict on vulnerable people and in particular on children in the northeast Nigeria is alarming. We'll wrap up our program for this time. Thank you very much for being with us. This is me, Hamse Daabjeerin.